G'day, it's FIDE Master John Curtis from Australia, and I just want to share a few games with you. I had 3 games that I played recently, and the first game I played was a young lady called krissbajic, and then I played GodzillaFireOchs. That's right, I played Godzilla, and finally I played Michelre RC810. All the games were between 89.8% accuracy up to 94.5% accuracy. And these games I selected because they're good training games for beginners on endgames, how to attack in chess, and how to win a one game. Okay, so without further ado, in we go to the games. I'm going to go into chess.com and we're off. Right, so game 1 against krissbajic. Right, okay, rightio, here we go. Krissbajic was from Serbia. She's a very lovely young lady. And we'll get into the game. Right, so it's a king's pawn opening initially. I was playing the white pieces and krissbajic, she was playing the black pieces. Okay, so c5 was played. I played knight to f3. e6 was played. We're in the Sicilian defence, the French variation now. d4 was played, and c takes d, knight takes d4. Okay, so you wonder why is this instructive? Well, we'll see. a6 was played, knight c3. You know I play this often because I like to play like Michelre. b5 was played. Now this shows that she's quite aggressive. She wants to play bishop b7, b5 and win the e-pawn. So she's showing her intentions that she's an aggressive player and she wants to take no prisoners. Anyway, so I played g3. I had this idea I'd seen of a grandmaster once where you can play bishop to g2 and just pop your knight in on d5, and even though they take your knight off, when the pawn gets on d5, by the time you've castled, you have a binding funny attack on the king file, and all black's pieces are sort of stuck on the queen side. So it was a general idea that I had. Remember, the game is 5 minutes, so it's just a general idea I had when I played g3. With that, Chris fianchettoed the bishop correctly, and I played bishop g2. And now I'm going to have a choice here. If she plays b5, will I play knight to d5, or will I chicken out and just move the knight away to a4 or e2 or b1? Well, I just want to wait and see what she did. She played queen c2. Maybe she took me for granted, but I think b4 looks like a great move. I really do. Anyway, I castled and I thought, well, now maybe I can play knight to d5 if she doesn't. She says no. She said, I'm not going to play any weak moves. I'm just going to develop my pieces, and now I'm threatening to push the pawn. Right, so she's very structured in her approach. And I'll show you what move I came up with. I played rook e1, right? Again, with the idea that if she pushes that pawn, maybe I might play knight to d5, right? So that was my idea. And she played bishop c5. Again, she wouldn't push the pawn. She developed a piece and prepared to castle. So I realised then that, this player seems to know what she's doing. And I was a bit concerned. But nonetheless, I pushed the pawn forwards to attack the knight. The whole idea is that I've castled and all my minor pieces are working. My bishop's working. My bishop is working. You can see the diagonal. I've got my 2 knights out, and my bishop here is working because it's already controlling all the file. But these pieces are a bit congested here, and she hasn't castled yet, right? So I thought I'll test her mettle, so to speak, and just see what she does, right? And she played knight to... firstly, it'll be very, very, very bad to play knight here, because after knight takes knight, it's a big advantage to white, okay? And she played knight to g8, and the engine said that that was the best move, right? So she played the best move, okay? Anyway, so I played knight e4, and I thought, well, I'll take her bishop. Maybe there's a possibility of a knight check down there at some stage. And she played bishop e2, and I thought, gee, that can't be a good move. And she went going backwards, and now you can't castle. You've blocked yourself a little bit. I thought, how can I take advantage of that? So I played knight check anyway, right? The whole purpose of that move is that if she takes the knight with the bishop, which she has to do, right? Bishop takes, pawn takes, attacks the queen. Now you can't take the pawn because you would lose your bishop. You've got to protect your bishop, right? That's the whole point of the variation. Anyway, young Chris, she plays queen c8. I thought, well, that's a good move. She's protecting her bishop. Her position looks fairly solid. She's only got one problem, and that's possibly the lack of development to the king. So I thought I'd be adventuresome, because after all, it's a 5-minute game. So I played knight f5. Apparently, it's not the best move. Maybe bishop takes bishop is the best move. But nonetheless, I played that, you know, hoping that she would be fearing knight to g7, and or maybe queen to g4, and threatening a pawn or something like that. Anyway, it worked. It worked. My plan worked, because watch what she played. Watch what young Chris played, krissbajic. She played g6, right? This can be fatal. I'll tell you why. You see these squares here, all around the king? Well, she's neglected her development, and I spotted a weakness, right? I did. I spotted a weakness. So I played, wait for it, the knight's attacked twice. So I played queen to d4. Watch this move. Queen to d4, I counter-attacked, right? So now I'm threatening queen takes rook. Okay, so I'm threatening queen takes rook. Now, similarly, if Chris takes the bishop, I could take a knight with checkmate, right? Because the king's stuck in the middle, and it's in a mating net. Anyway, I'll show you what she played. She played f6, which blocks my queen off from the check, right? But I had a reply for that, and it's this move, knight e7, right? So now, because I won't let Chris go, you see, I thought I've got to keep the pressure on. I've got to give at least the appearance that I know what I'm doing, right? Anyway, the whole idea is I'm threatening the queen and I'm threatening the bishop. And so there's really only one move that she thought she could play, and she played it. Knight takes knight. So now you've got a choice. Do I take the bishop? Do I take the knight? Or, oh, I see there's a pawn there. Or do I take the pawn? Well, I examined all the checks, and I thought, which is the best one? So all the captures, I should say. And I thought, which is the best capture? So I looked at queen takes pawn. I thought, that looks nice, because that threatens queen takes knight check and checkmate, and threatens queen takes rook. So I thought, oh, hold on a minute. Do I put on the alert alarm? No, I couldn't put on the alert alarm, could I? I could. That's the alert alarm. No, but I won't put on the alert alarm. I did. I put on the alert alarm. Anyway, she played knight c6. She developed a piece, and then I played queen takes rook check. Well, the king moves up, and I thought, well, I might as well grab another pawn with check. It's material, isn't it? Anyway, now that she's so attacked, she's lost her king side. Her king is basically naked, and she didn't want to go backwards, because if she moves backwards here, there's a dirty big bishop check, right? Big bishop check. So she thought, well, where's a square I might be able to go where there's no more checks, or I might not get checked anymore? So she thought, I might go forwards. Right, can you see the best move? I asked the guys when I was streaming, I said, oh, what do you think is the best move? I think it was Raising Arizona or one of the guys there. Anyway, he spotted the move. And again, when you're looking at chess positions and you're attacking, you examine all checks and you examine all captures, but obviously checks are very important. And so I examined all checks and I saw, oh, hold on, I've got this check. And what happens if she takes it, right? But it does bring the king forwards, doesn't it? And then I noticed, aha, takes it off. But now with queen to h4 check, the king's only got one square and the fianchetto bishop delivers a checkmate. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed that attacking chess game, and it shows you some ideas on how to spot weak little holes in positions and how to create them too by continually creating threats that snowball to a point where the defending player can no longer find a reasonable move. Okay, with that, we'll go back here to the next game, and we're playing Godzilla. That's right. Just like in the photograph of the YouTube video, we're playing Godzilla. GodzillaFireOchs, his name is, and he's from Germany. He's rated 2056. He's playing the black pieces, and he played with 70.4% accuracy. The game was played on the 17th of September, right? 2 days ago, basically. Okay, so with that, we're just going to flip back here, and let's get a look into the game. Okay, so we played e4. d5 was played, Scandinavian defense. We captured the pawn. Queen recaptured, best move. Knight c6. Now, what? Knight c3, I should say, attacking the queen, and the queen went back. Now, that's one of the mainline moves. Also, queen here is to be considered. Queen to a5. I normally play that move. And sometimes I will play queen to d8 as a surprise if I'm playing a Super Grandmaster in Title Tuesday. And that reminds me, tomorrow I have to play in late Title Tuesday at 7 a.m. Okay, so I just developed a piece. Knight f6 was played. Bishop c4. So I'm just putting my bishop on an attacking square, attacking that weak f2 square. And Godzilla decided to spit a bit of fire at me and attack my queen. So now Godzilla's threatening to take my queen. Nothing worse than Godzilla fire aimed at you. Get a bit hot in your seat. So I had to find a reply. And I played knight to f3. Reason being, I thought, oh, maybe old Godzilla might miss bishop takes pawn check. See, in this position, you can actually play knight here and say, oh no, my queen. And if they take the queen, you can deliver checkmate, right? You can deliver checkmate with the bishop. So I thought, oh, that's a good little trick. But unfortunately, Godzilla was an experienced player and played e6. Okay. I played h3. I thought, well, I'll chase the bishop away because that bishop's a narky little thing. And I did work out roughly, because it's a 5-minute game, that if Godzilla takes the knight, my queen can capture back, and if the queen takes a pawn threatening my bishop, I can always take this pawn threatening the castle down there, right, on a8. Now, Godzilla didn't like that, so might have been the radiation. You know, Godzilla's full of radiation. Anyway, played bishop to h5, which is a good move, that's all right. And now I played g4. I thought, well, I'll chase the old Godzilla around because I've got 3 minor pieces working. And I thought if I could just get a little tempo or something like that, just one little inaccuracy from Godzilla. And admittedly, what I am doing in this position is I'm weakening my king. Godzilla played bishop g6 and I played knight e5, right? Now, a good move for black would be just to challenge the knight with knight to d7. Right, that's a logical move in the position. Let's see what Godzilla played. Godzilla played bishop e7. And I thought, gee, that's strange. What can I do here to take advantage of what Godzilla just played? And I saw this move. I thought, oh, here's a good bullshit move. h4, right? Because it's amazing. Sometimes you're playing a good player like Godzilla, 2056, and what they'll do is they might pre-move. So if they pre-move castles, we can push the pawn again and chase the bishop. So anyway, Godzilla hit my castle, moved the bishop and threatened my castle, right? And I thought, oh, I really want to take that bishop. I really do. But I want to take the bishop on my terms. So what I did was I thought, well, maybe Godzilla will, if I don't capture it, Godzilla might castle and then make a mistake. So this is what I did. I just castled, right? And you might say, oh, but your king's got lots of holes in front of it. Well, black's got trouble too because black hasn't developed as much. Admittedly, white's position is very holy, you know, like it's the sort of position you'd find in a church. Castles. So black did castle. Well, there's a refutation to that move. Can you see it? You see the bishop on e4 is in white's territory, right? The first 4 squares here of the board are white's territory, and it's protected by a knight. So the logical move is, bang, you guessed it, g5. And what that does is it attacks the defending piece. So you're threatening the knight, and if the knight moves, you can take the bishop with this knight, okay? So that looks like it wins a piece, and I thought, oh, gee, this looks good. I'm going to quench Godzilla's fire, right? Anyway, so knight to d5 was played, and I whipped off his bishop, right? And by now you think, oh, he might resign now, but not this guy, not this fighting Godzilla. He plays f5, and he says, right, I'm coming to get you. And you know what? The reason why I'm showing you this game, you might think, oh, but he gave you a piece. Why are you showing this game? Well, it's because Godzilla has fighting spirit. And one of the lessons in chess for you beginners out there is it's one thing to have a 1 position, but when you're playing a good play, you still have to win it, right? So what I did was I moved my knight here. I thought, well, I'm not going to just go backwards and let Godzilla breathe more fire at me. I want to spit a bit of fire back. So I'm threatening knight takes pawn, and that would in turn attack the queen in the castle. So it's a big threat. And Godzilla replied with queen d6, right? A very mature move because what Godzilla is actually saying is if he takes the knight, well, he's exchanging more pieces. He's trying to avoid that and get counterplay, right? So I thought I'll take the pawn off, right? Because I worked out the captures. And if I take the pawn off, I hit the queen, right? And the whole idea is now, if he moves the queen, I can take the knight. That's right. And displace more pieces, because at the end of the day, this is all about having more material. So one thing again, having a 1 position, but it's another thing to win it, and you've got to know the right techniques. Anyway, if a queen can't take the knight, so you really have to take the bishop. That's forced, and he does. I played knight back to c5. That's what I planned to do. And then if Godzilla takes the knight to win a pawn, because at this stage he's got to get something back. I took with the pawn, and now my plan is very simple. I've got a powerful knight in the middle. I've got an extra piece, and my queen is threatening this big check, which attacks the castle. So I thought, well, one little mistake, and that big queen takes pawn check might kill him. So he played queen takes, and I thought, well, I'm going to attack his queen, right? Okay, so his best move is probably queen to d6, right? To which I could reply bishop f4 if I wanted to, okay? Right, okay, and now he plays this move, queen to b5. Well, the queen is protecting this pawn, right? The queen's protecting the pawn, I'm attacking. So I'm thinking if I could dislodge that queen, obviously if the queen was here, I can't dislodge it easily, but this is another technical error. And so I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll chase the queen away because I'm still attacking queen takes pawn check. my opponent then took a pawn off, and I thought, you beauty, I'll take the pawn with check, right? I think by this stage my opponent was a bit fed up with the game, and Godzilla's fire is just about to be put out by a mighty fire of my own, and it's called Philidor's Checkmate. Have you ever seen Philidor's Checkmate before? Well, I'm going to show you. The king is in check. Now, you can't put the castle in because the queen will take the castle and checkmate. So there's only one move for black. It's king to h8. And now white knight checks. Now, as you know, when you do your chess.com puzzles, I hope you are, if rook takes knight, well, you can simply check at the back and take a rook, and that's checkmate, right? So then again, the black king has one square. King here, okay? And now, can you see the checkmate? Well, here it is. It's knight double check. Yes, it's double check. The knight's attacking the king, and the queen is giving the king check. There's only one square to move to. And I'm sure experienced players all know Philidor's checkmate. But for the beginners out there, yes, it's time to sacrifice your queen against the mighty Godzilla fire. That's right. And after rook takes queen, we checkmate with the knight on f7. And I was very, very proud of that because I love a Philidor's checkmate. And that was done in 26 moves. And considering my opponent's 2,056, I think that's a good result. Don't you? Right, anyway, for the next game, we're playing Michelre RC. Right, so we'll go back here. And this is a higher rated game, this particular one. This is at 94.5%. And Michelre RC 810 is from Cuba. That's right, from Cuba, where the great world chess champion came from. I'm not talking about Magnus Carlsen either. I think I'm talking about Jose Raul Capablanca. Didn't he come from Cuba? Somewhere like that. Anyway, here we go. Take those pieces back. And now, I played d4. Michelre RC is A10 is from Cuba. And let's see now. The opening we're playing today is called the Indian game. E6 was played. I played knight to f3, bishop e7. These are pretty well booked moves, I suppose. G3, I want to fianchetto my bishop Carlsen style. Castles. Bishop g2. I thought, you beauty, I'm happy with my position. Now all I need to do is to complete my development is to castle. D6 was played. So I thought, oh, that looks like a solid move. So I will castle, right? And what I'm doing here is I'm studying black's position. I'm looking for weaknesses, but at this stage I can't see any, right? Knight to d7, right? Okay. So black's playing a really tight game. Now I'm going to tell you about something about this game. This game is an instruction on how to win a drawn position, basically, and how to learn to persevere and push and look for minimalist advantage if you really need to win a game that, under most circumstances, a draw would be a good result, right? Or a decent result, right? Or an expected result. Knight c3 was played, e5. And when I saw my opponent play this, the first thing I thought of was, how can I get a knight on f5? Because other than that, if you look at the position of black, there's no weaknesses there, right? The position is pretty solid. So anyway, so I played queen c2, right? And I thought, well, if the pawn takes a pawn, the knight can take back. And I'm just eyeing that one little square on the side of the board. You never know your luck in a big city. Anyway, c6 was played, and I thought, well, that's a good move. So I played rook to d1. I've seen this played before. And the whole idea is, in this position, you're threatening pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn will win a pawn, right? Because if pawn takes back, in this position, The knight can take the pawn because you can't take the knight because you will lose the queen. So now black's got to see that threat. And he does. A good player. 2083, Michelre RC810 from Cuba. Sees that queen to c7 will defend everything. So again, looking at the black position, you can't see any weaknesses. So I played knight h4, and I don't think I'm winning here or anything, but I just want to push a little bit, you know, like press the position. I think if we were watching an American gridiron football game or something similar, that's what they do, and they go for field position, right? Well, whether this is a sport like football, I don't know, but we're going for field position. Rook to e8 was played, and now knight to f5. So what I envisaged in my mind 3 or 4 moves earlier, how could I get something nice and annoying on f5? Well, I've achieved that, and without little risk to my overall position. Okay, black's got a lovely balanced game, and white has got the problem of the white squares and when exactly to move this bishop and connect the rooks at the back, and where on earth do you put it? Do you put it here? Do you put it there? Right, there's only a few squares it can go to. Bishop f8 was played, and then I thought, well, I'll move my bishop there because I want to connect my rooks at the back and at least complete my development. But I'm not really threatening anything because black has got a really sound, solid position. And herein lies the problem. How do you win a game like this when there are no perceived weaknesses on the black position? He played h6. I thought, well, I'll take the pawn. I'll try to confuse him because obviously if he takes the bishop, I can take the knight, right? And maybe the pawn structure might be bad. But no, he plays properly, he plays good chess, recaptures with the pawn. So I can't see anything else. I don't want to retreat my bishop, so I capture the knight and the knight recaptures. This position is dead equal. Could even be slightly better for black in the long term, correctly played. I played a3. I was very concerned about bishop here, threatening to take my knight. I was quite concerned about that. And not only that, I know that I can't win the game or even be competitive by pushing pawns near my king. This simply will not work. So I had a dual plan of a3, stopping the threat that I perceived, and also possibly at some stage expanding my queenside pawns, right? That's right, my queenside pawns to get some spatial advantage. Meanwhile, just watching what my opponent does. My opponent takes the knight. And I think, you beauty, because now I've got some white squares to play with. Admittedly, black is controlling this square, which I've got more control over than him. Black has got an overall great position, and the only way I can improve my position is to make that queen side active. Rook on the a file to d8 was played, and I thought, oh no, he's just going to change all the rooks off, and the position should be a draw. Maybe black's even got some winning chances. So I played e6. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll stop this rook, this black rook, from going to d4. Right, so rook to d4 could have been a great move for black, right, threatening to double the rooks. Okay, so queen e7 was played, and there's a good reason why Michelre RC chose this move, and that's to protect the knight, right, and also to play g6 and chase the queen away. Okay, g6 and chase the queen away, and white would really have just about nothing in the position, only the queen side push. So I played b4. because I wanted the timing of the queenside push to mean something. My opponent's got 3 minutes 53 seconds. I got 3 minutes 25. And I thought, if my opponent keeps playing this game, I've got to cause my opponent problems. I can see that if I get the pawn to C5, then I might be able to control more space. G6 was played, so I played Queen C2. Bishop G7 was played, and now you can't criticise this because now that bishop is eyeing the castle. So black's got a good position. So I played C5. I thought, well, I might as well continue with my plan. And now it was in this position. My opponent played what might be a bad move. E4. That's right. I'm actually targeting this pawn several times. So what I did was I played rook takes rook, and my opponent took the rook, and now I can't take this pawn. I can't take it because the bishop would win my castle at the end of the exchanges. So what did I do? I moved my rook, right, to the d file. And I thought to myself, oh, it looks like I might be able to steal this pawn if my opponent makes a mistake. My opponent played a6, and I thought, oh, hold on. This is going to be interesting. So I took the rook, queen takes, and now, you know what I thought my opponent wanted to do? I thought, if I take the pawn in the middle, which I can, with the knight, my opponent, which is the natural sort of move, my opponent can play knight takes knight, and we have an ending, a queen and bishop and pawn ending, where we've got bishops of opposite colours. Now, I don't know whether you know, but bishops of opposite colours, you can often have a draw. So here we are, we've reached this position. So we've got like a major piece endgame, like a middle game endgame, right? And so it's going to be played with some accuracy if you want to win, to drive home some advantage. So I played bishop takes pawn. That's right. Instead of taking with the knight, I took with the bishop, and I had a sound reason for it. Because if this knight takes my bishop, I can always recapture with the knight, and there'd be this worry that I could play knight to d6, supported by the pawn on c5. So my opponent played queen to d7 and must have realised that, oh, hold on a minute, his last move may have been a blunder. So I played king to g2, and I thought, well, I'm still inviting black to take the bishop with the knight. And he moved the knight backwards. He says, no, I don't want to take the bishop with the knight. But what he did say is, I'm happy to take your knight with my bishop. So he moved back there, and also he wants to play knight to g4. Can you see that one? Knight to g5, sorry. With the idea of a dirty big queen check down there. And that's a bit of a worry. So I played knight there, and then I overlooked this move. Anyway, I pushed a pawn on his knight, and now he's going to make a decision. Well, he checked me, and I thought, that can't be a good move. And my king moved back. Now, the problem is the knight's got to find a square. And the queen's not doing anything all by itself there. The knight went back. Excuse me. The knight went back to e6. So now I had to find a continuation line. So now I'm winning as far as I've achieved all my goals. I've got that mini queenside attack, and my knight can be very mischievous, and his bishop, basically on g7, is attacking bugger all. Okay, so here we go. So I played knight to g6, and he played queen to g4. With that, I thought, well, I'll bring my knight back because I can see that knight here is a really dangerous encroaching move on his position. And he played a g4, 5. Now the whole idea is he wants to weaken my king position. So I thought, well, I'm going to attack his queen. He's giving me the f5 square. Can you see that fate is... remember, we looked for a square in the opening, and we'd look for a weakness, not so much a weakness, but we'd look for a square that we could manipulate. And we originally put a knight on f5, remember, in the early part of the game? Well, here we are, we're getting closer to an endgame, and now we've finally got a bishop on the very same square, f5. Okay, so we basically penetrated his position. His queen's not well placed. He played queen here, and with that, we took the knight off, right? And we've achieved exactly what we wanted, and that's knight versus bishop, except we've got a bonus here. Because he's played a few bad moves, we're going to destroy his pawn structure. So he takes with the bishop. Then we play pawn takes pawn, because we don't want him attacking our king. And with that, he recaptured. And now I have to play a move that will cause him some consternation. So I played knight there, knight to d6, just covering a few squares. And he played bishop e4, so I gave him a check. His idea was, if you're just going to play little knight moves, I'll let you take the pawn. Meanwhile, he wanted to take this pawn. But no, I saw a big check and I thought, oh, I'll go and grab that big check. My opponent played king here. And it's with that, I played queen takes pawn. And now my opponent played b6, and the position is all over. I just simply captured his bishop because now he's collapsing. He only had 46 seconds on the clock, and basically he was tired of defending, right? That's right. He was tired of defending those white squares that I kept pressing. And so the lesson for you guys out there at a slightly advanced level is if you see an opportunity to press and it's based on solid, sound foundations in the position, that and you can encroach slightly and keep pressing without weakening your own position too much, well, have a go and you might get that valuable point that otherwise you may have just accepted a draw or whatever, and a win is that much better than the draw if you can get it, right? Okay, so that's the lesson. It's all about learning. It's more of an advanced lesson, this particular one. It's more about pressing a position. So we played a few games. We played the lovely krissbajic in game 1. And then we played the GodzillaFireOchs in game 2. And finally we played our friend Michelre 810 from Cuba in game 3. I'm glad that you shared this special time with me, and I have no reason to talk about the subject of chess cheating, because I'm going to leave all that to chess administrators and to the people that provide the evidence. So I played Grandmaster Hans Niemann. I put the game in the chess engine, and I found all his moves to be logical. So I have no situation personally. I don't know anything untoward, and I'm not qualified to make a comment. And so I'm going to zip it. Okay, but other than that, I do hope that chess, the game I love, doesn't suffer. I do come across chess cheats on chess.com, and chess.com is extremely good, very good methodologies to detect chess cheats, and they deal with them in a fair and reasonable way. Okay, so with that, I'm going to sign off. If you like my video, please give the thumbs up to the video, and if you subscribe, you haven't watched before, you can subscribe to the channel free, and yeah, and you'll be notified of any further videos that I create. Okay, once again, thank you very much for sharing your personal time with me, Master John Curtis, and of course Grandmaster Teddy, who runs my chess engine. No, he doesn't. We haven't got a chess engine. And a Christmas teddy bear, well, he can't really run a chess engine. Can you, Teddy? Give us a kiss. Okay, rightio. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Grandmaster Teddy, and we'll catch you next time. Okay? Thank you. Bye now.